So, hey, want to really just get into it. I really enjoyed the film.
Awesome.
First and foremost, it was a pleasant surprise because honestly, a lot of times with Netflix, the films can be hit or miss.
You think with Netflix, it's a certain level of quality, but you never know.
No, no, and they do have a certain level of quality, and they bought themselves that cachet. You expect whenever Netflix's name is attached, it's going to be great. And I guess it's just like anything else. Sometimes not so. But I really enjoyed it. I love a good Western.
Awesome, Mom. I'm glad. I'm glad we could scratch that itch for you.
Yeah. No, well, it's been so long since I've seen a Western. The itch actually started. I was reading not an interview, a story about Steve McQueen and how he had gotten started in the whole Westerns, and they were showing clips because it was just his birthday, and it was great. It reminded me, wow, I forgot how much I really like Westerns because we haven't had one in a while.
I think Hostels came out like 2, 3 years ago. Wes Duty's in it. I thought,
Yeah.
uh, but a different take on a Western. It wasn't a classic, spaghetti Western.
Yeah, and that's what I felt like when I felt like I was watching your character and watching the whole thing. I felt a couple of influences. Obviously, I felt Lars von Trier, funny enough, for because of the chapter thing, and also Tarantino with the Hateful Eight. I felt like a couple of influences there. Not to mention Clint. I felt like you were channeling your Clint Eastwood from High Plains Drifter.
I know it's an obscure one. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, by the way.
No, I saw High Plains Drifter as a kid and I loved it. I remember seeing it. I'm like, wow, this is incredible.
I mean, the ultimate anti-hero, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you don't get much worse than that character, and you don't get better than that character. I mean, just And what was he? Was he a ghost? Was he the spirit of vengeance? I mean, it's not really. He's the embodiment of the sheriff
Yeah.
who was wrongly killed in that town. But just it's and I think thinking about that movie, it's like Clint, did all the Sergio Leone movies. He started directing his own films. He really mastered the western, and took the spaghetti western to another level. But much like reference kind of Badland, like where do you go from the man with no name, right? And then all those
Exactly.
characters, like how do you improve on that? Where do you go? And like he started getting supernatural. You know what I mean? Like they went, and even like Paul Reiser was kind of supernatural, right? He was.
Well, yeah, it was. And then of course it becomes basically a Twilight Zone episode at the end when you see his grave and everything. But I felt like I picked up like the drifter in this and just yeah, I was really enticed by your character because it was like did no real backstory, no real flashbacks, but you pick up little bits and pieces about his makeup and everything.
I appreciate it. I gotta say, and I've said it before. Uh, I make no bones about it. I homage Clint Eastwood in this movie 100.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's I grew up on him. This is my dream character. I mean, I even do some of his moves. We
Yeah, oh, yeah.
at the end. Spoiler alert! Hit pause. We do a showdown at high noon in a town, and you do the eyes, and it works because.
Well, yeah, and you're going up against Jeff Fahey, and who doesn't like to hate Jeff Fahey?
True. It's easy to hate him in this movie, but
it is. Yeah, yeah. And what was nice about it too, filmically for me, was that it felt really wide in scope and big in scope especially when you're riding. But then it's really just all three chapters are pretty intimate and everything, and they just felt. It felt small and intimate. I felt like I was a part of Bruce Dern's family and everything. Like I felt like I was in that house with you guys because it just felt that intimate.
It's awesome, man.
And it almost became like a character study.
I mean, we were kind of in effect we were going through. I mean, that's why I felt, the chapters is what we added at the end. I think really wasn't the intention as much. And because it was all these distinct stories, each guy, even, Atkins opens the film, another spoiler, but he's in it for like 7 minutes. And, his character is as important. His character tells the story as much as Jeff Fahey's character tells the story.
Well, I liked the way you tie it all together at the very end too. with Fahey, and it starts off because at first it feels a little episodic, but then oh no, everything's tied up together at the end.
Right, and then he goes back and has his own little chapter.
So you said you're a fan of Westerns. So Justin Lee wrote and directed this. How did you find the script and everything? And how long was it in process?
We had done a few movies. We did a movie called Any Boat Will Do, and
okay.
A huge fan of Westerns, so you should check out Any Boat Will Do if you like.
Got it. One. I will write that down.
It's not on Netflix. You can check it out on Prime if you have Prime, free with Prime. Tubi, you can watch it for free. Voodoo, you can watch it for free.
Oh, no, great.
Cool Western in the snow. Like we were very heavily influenced by Jeremiah Johnson for that one. So another one.
Yeah, there you go.
We were joking around, Justin and I, this one time, talking about Any Boat Will Do, and I said, "Oh, I love Jeremiah Johnson. We should do a Western in the snow, man. We should, It's like, oh no, it's so expensive. You can't. It's so hard to shoot." And then it was like, you know what? Who says no? We're making our own movie. We're just gonna do it, and we did it, and we created this movie in the snow and literally shot in 5 feet of snow in Montana. Jesus. It was insane, and we did it, and it's a really cool movie. But so the same. So we like to create. I'll give you a little bit of the business side.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an indie film, and if I can give a little advice as I'm speaking to indie,
that would be amazing. We have a lot of indie filmmakers who read and watch us, so yeah.
So the number one bit of advice, besides do everything you can to get some money and make your vision, you got to put a name in your movie. You have to put named actors in your movie.
Absolutely. I'm a writer turned director, and I've made short films, and believe me, it's a nightmare trying to raise the money. It just even for a short.
Oh yeah, it's hard. It's a thankless business.
It is.
You get on Netflix and become number 3, and then you're super thankful, and I'm so thankful.
I know, but you got names in yours. You did well. You got Mira, and you got. Personally, he's when I was a kid, I grew up loving disaster movies. My wife made me take all my disaster movie posters when we moved, and they're down in storage now. But Bruce Dern was in, as a kid, he was in one of my all-time favorite movies, Black Sunday. So, and I got to meet him a couple of years ago at the WGA Awards, and I lost my shit.
I practically lost my shit when he came on set. He couldn't have been cooler. And I got to say, as a result of, not to switch gears and talk about Bruce Dern, but such a gentleman, and we bonded on this movie.
I felt that a lot, actually.
He kind of took me under his wing. He took me aside several times. We worked a few days and gave me these pep talks about something that he saw in me as an actor, as a person, as a producer, as the guy doing all this stuff, and was like, I'm going to help you. I want to help you. Something about you that I haven't seen, in 40 years. And he really,
wow.
And he called his manager, a gentleman named Alan Summers, who represented a lot of the greats, Rip Torn, Peter Fonda,
sure,
Bruce Dern, and he was like, I'm going to have Alan, call you anyway. And so his manager called me, and now I work with his manager as well, as a result of Bruce Dern, and how amazing, and how just wanting to, pay it forward. And he does a lot of movies. And
he was amazing in Nebraska. It's like a master class when you watch him.
He's so funny too. We're working. He likes to does a lot of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
He likes to, he'll say something one way, and then he'll say it another way, and he wants to keep you on your toes. As an actor, you can call him aloof, you can call him whatever. I think he does things to make you, the person he's acting with, especially if he likes you, to make you a better actor. Right. And
yeah. Mm-hmm.
After the scene, he goes, pretty good, kid. He was like, I only saw you acting twice. And I was like, and he was like, don't worry. It took me 40 years to learn how to not act. And I only saw you acting twice. And, and then you have to think because acting is living, is existing, right? You're never, an actor is an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like the craziest compliment. But he would say, if you're not listening, if you're just an actor that's focused on your lines and not your intention or the scene and your partner and everybody else around you, you can't act with Bruce Dern because he knows it, and he'll switch it up on you. He'll say something one way, that if you give your line the way that it's written back to him, it won't make any sense. The intention is the same, but you have to kind of switch up your line to match. Like he'll say, like for example, and I'm just making it up, but he'll say, good morning or good afternoon, and your line back is good afternoon, and that's what it's written. But then one day he'll say good evening. And
that's interesting.
You can't say good afternoon back. So if you're not listening, and if you're not in that scene, you say good afternoon back, your line doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So
wow. Yeah,
things like that, to get you to make sure you're listening. And then all of a sudden you become this, you have this, it's an instant connection with him.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if it's a little tricks that he's learned over time, or if he's like a pain in the butt, what is it that,
well, the thing about him that to me that makes him a great actor is I forget I'm watching Bruce Dern. He really disappears into the character. Like I had mentioned Black Sunday, Nebraska. They're all very different films with the same actor, but I don't think of, oh, I'm watching Bruce Dern do this. It's like he's just he becomes that character.
He's a chameleon. But what's so crazy about Bruce Dern? It's so funny, is because Bruce Dern can play anybody. He's a chameleon. He's a brilliant actor. But at the same time, it's always Bruce Dern. But do you know what I mean? The ability to play any character as Bruce Dern and be the character without you thinking he's Bruce Dern.
Yeah.
So not a lot of actors have. I know that sounds weird, but not a lot of actors have that ability.
No, it's true. I mean, he's one of the great ones. So, I mean, back to the indie filmmaking, how did you get Bruce and everybody? I mean, you got a good cast. You got a really good, talented character cast.
Phone calls. This was our 5th film as a company. So we had worked with Lance Henriksen in the past, Adrian Gordon Burnson, Meg Foster. We started, climbing the ladder and stuff.
Yeah.
And all of them fantastic. We had worked with Amanda Wiss quite a few times. I love her. She's such a lovely person.
Yeah, she was great as well.
And then we had that. We climbed the ladder. We started getting a little bit more money, better distribution, things like that. So we had the ability to go after bigger people. This is the first time we hired a casting director. We hired Tina Capel. Brilliant. She's worked with all the major casting directors in Hollywood. I could say, I want Brad Pitt to read this script, or and she'll say, Brad Pitt will never do the movie. Oh, but if that's what you want, I'll get it to him. And she can't guarantee that he'll read it, but she can get the script in front of anybody. She can get, what we call an avail, which is, availability. So
yeah, sure.
We can get an avail on any actor at any time. We had an avail.
Wow.
Not Bruce, I just said Bruce. On Robert Duvall at one point. And for some,
I see Robert Duvall in this movie too.
We would have to rewrite a couple things, but
yeah, sure.
But we got, within an hour, she came back. Oh, he's available these days, but just so you know, he's really only focusing on his own stuff right now. Blah blah blah. So I wouldn't waste too much time and whatever. But she got the avail on Robert Duvall. So she's amazing. And so bringing a casting director with that kind of level, with our reputation already, opened up a lot of doors for us. And we got Bruce Dern on board. And once we got Bruce Dern on board, we had offers out. We were testing the waters for Mira's role, and we really wanted Mira. And she's never done a Western, and she's such an amazing actor, and she fits that bill. She's this strong woman in real life. She heads this, the women's movements, and she's the forefront of the whole Harvey Weinstein thing, and so courageous and so strong. She's the embodiment of this character. Just drop her into the West.
Honestly, I had forgotten how much I liked Mira Sorvino. It was great to see her working again, because I mean, because of the Weinstein thing before and everything they had, she had just dropped off the radar, and I forgot how good she really is.
She's so good. She's effortless.
Yeah.
Just one of those, and she's a lovely person inside and out. great mother, and I love her husband to death. I mean, we become kind of friendly, and you know, I met her whole family, and just, you know, just cool. It's so cool to break the, you know, the glass barrier, whatever you want to call it, between
Yeah. No,
celebrity
for sure.
people, and to be able to work both sides of that, you know, and see both sides of that is just, it's cool. A lot of cool.
No, that's very cool. So, how long from development to finally on Netflix? How long was the process?
It was actually pretty quick. The script we had in development a while back. We just thought that, you know, I was touching on it before, as an independent company that creates a lot of their own content and stuff. We wanted a film, so you have to put names in to go back.
Sure.
And we wanted something where they just weren't cameos, right? Because you know a movie when it has a cameo in it.
Absolutely. You see them on the fest circuit all the time.
Right. And that's, you know, and it's sometimes that's all you can do. You know, we always try to find a way to make the cameo mean something where it's not a cameo. For instance, we have this movie, Big Legend, and, you know, not to go off topic like I do, but it's a Bigfoot movie, and Lance Henriksen is in it, and he's done Bigfoot movies, and you know, and it's Lance Henriksen. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know, he come, not to spoil it. You should check it out. It's fun if you like.
I am a huge horror fan and a Lance fan, so
check it out.
All the way back to Alien.
It's a viral success.
There we go.
The trailer alone has like 6 million views on YouTube.
Nice.
Anyway, he comes in at the end, 5 minutes at the end. But it's not a cameo. He's a real character, a huge part of the story, and he turns the whole story that you just watched on its ear and sets it up for an entire universe around this movie. And, you know, we did it that way because we don't do cameos. We do, you know, we try to make real characters, you know, because
Sure.
I can't afford Lance Henriksen to star in my movie and work 20 days on the movie, you know, at $24,000 a year. I just can't afford it. So we can afford.
Oh, I know.
You know, and how do you make that work? How do you make a good movie, and how do you make that work? So Badland, Reacher, you know, he's hunting 3 guys. The movie is about 3 guys he's hunting.
Right.
Each of those guys is a fantastic actor, and then the Senator Benjamin Burke, you know, he's in 2 scenes in the movie, but it's his story.
And Tony Todd has such a presence, though. It's just, I kept wanting him to say something from Candyman.
Do it. Just don't say Candyman 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, you know, even like, again, Trace Atkins, he's in it, you know, 7 minutes and he's gone. And he's a country superstar, you know, country icon and a Western icon. And his story, it's not a cameo. His story is just as important as Jeff Fahey.
Absolutely.
Jeff Fahey has 3 times the amount of screen time. Bruce Dern has, you know, 3 times the amount of screen time. But he tells the story just without his character, you don't have the movie. You know, so it's about those 3 guys. So that's how we developed it, to be able to intertwine all these different stories and all these great actors, and you know, that we didn't have to, you know, that we could afford to get them because they weren't working for 5 weeks, or, you know, and still tell a great story without cameos, but with real characters that drive the movie.
I'll tell you one thing I was disappointed in, and this is a compliment to the film. I really, really enjoyed your relationship with the other bounty hunter, the Native American bounty hunter. I forget his name. I loved those 2 scenes. I thought that those 2 scenes were 2 of the, I mean, there's a lot of strong scenes in the film, but I just thought there is this bond. I wanted to see a sequel or a prequel with the 2 of them, because I just thought that there was such a bond there. I was really drawn to that story.
Well, careful what you wish for, because maybe there will be something.
That would be amazing.
We make a sequel or a prequel. Yes, if Wes is willing, Wes is going to be in the movie.
That would be great, because I just thought it was he did an amazing job, and just so much there in just so little time, just a lot of information, a lot of character development and stuff.
And that's right, that you're getting that in that short amount of time with just those 2 things. You know, you're telling this huge backstory without telling any backstory. You're getting a glimpse into the
Yeah,
life
yeah, exactly,
with just
exactly.
your little 5-minute speech.
And
You know,
no exposition. That's what I really enjoyed about it, is just it wasn't exposition per se, but you got it from, you felt like that these two characters knew each other inside and out, and you just picked up what the history was.
yeah, no, it was cool. And then at the end, you don't know, is he coming to kill him? Is he gonna whatever? Oh, what's gonna happen? And then he helps him. And spoiler alert, but he helps
Yeah,
him. And,
yeah,
it's just cool. It's a cool moment, and it's not your typical moment in a western. Two rivals. It's these two rivals that live by a code. One is obviously a bounty hunter. He has to do it to make a living. The other one lives by the badge, and but they cross paths because they're often going after the same guy. One is doing it.
absolutely.
One is doing it for money. But they have a code of honor and respect for each other, that they both work hard to do what they do. And and if they get in each other's way, nothing's going to stop them from doing the job. So they respect each other, but they know they might have to kill each other.
Exactly. So I
And
was reading in your bio, switching gears for a sec, I was reading in your bio that you're a fan of 80s films. I grew up in the 80s, so huge fan of those as well. You called out E.T. Is that your favorite 80s film, or what's your favorite 80s?
I mean, I'm a big Star Wars fan, even though
Oh, I just realized there's C3PO.
um, I mean, that's technically the 70s, but I'm obviously Indiana Jones, E.T.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a huge Rambo fan. Uh,
yeah.
you know, all those movies. It's hard to list. What's your favorite? And
Yeah, well, it's funny because the 70s, 80s, and 90s, those are just all groundbreaking classics. A lot of them, even the mediocre ones, are groundbreaking somehow. I mean, you had all the John Hughes movies, like you said, Indiana Jones, Spielberg. That was my Spielberg era there. Like, Spielberg makes great films, but growing up watching those earlier Spielberg films, I mean, there was just something different.
pure magic, pure
Yeah,
magic. That's a
yeah.
funny story about E.T., which is one of the ones that I was a kid, obviously a little kid, and we had waited in line, and with my mom and my brothers, our tiny little family, we're at the back of the line. We're notoriously late for everything, the Makeley fan, and so we get in, and there's not enough seats for us to sit together. So we go, and I can't even remember. I was very young. And I said, you know what? I'll sit by myself, mommy. I'll sit by myself. And I wound up sitting between two older women, probably in their late 60s, early 70s. And I'm in between the two of them. And I'm by myself, and I'm watching E.T. and I'm trying to be this tough kid. And, then it's E.T., not a dry eye in the house. And boy,
Exactly.
they start crying, these older women, and they're passing tissues to each other, and they're giving me tissues, and I am bawling my eyes out by myself as a kid.
Oh my gosh.
It would be me and my brother, like, like, and
Yep.
because I was alone, but with these two beautiful women and beautiful spirits, and boy, did we have a ball. We just a literal ball.
Yeah.
Just cried my eyes out like I've never done before during the movie, and probably never have done since, because it was that I was alone. It was just one of those magical moments, where
Yeah. Yeah.
something that I love. That I love watching movies by myself. I mean, I love introducing my children to movies that I love.
I was the same way with my daughters. Yeah.
But when you watch a movie by yourself and you get to, like, sometimes I'm watching TV by myself, and not to out myself as a wimp or anything, but like sometimes a commercial will get me choked up. And
Sure.
you get those,
Sure.
everything comes and it goes. You don't have that moment, but like nothing like I love to watch The Wrath of Khan by myself, and the whole
That's interesting.
you have been and always will be my friend.
Yeah.
And Spock, it gets me every time, and I won't watch it with anybody anymore. I'll only watch it by myself because I need that moment.
I
Of
will watch.
and
I'll watch. I do the same thing with Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge Peter Jackson fan, and I'll watch it with my older daughter Chloe, because when she was younger and they first came out, I would sneak her off. I probably was a bad dad. I'm showing her the Two Towers, and she's like 7 years old.
Great dad, a great dad.
Well, that's what she says. That's what she says. So I'll stick with that. But yeah, it just introduced him to those films. But those are films I'll definitely watch by myself because there's just so much going on, especially the Fellowship of the Ring. I love it. As a matter of fact, maybe today.
Did you love the cartoons when you were a kid?
I did. I remember the Ralph Bakshi cartoons, but I didn't appreciate it then. And then I realized, looking back, because I looked at it after I saw Lord of the Rings, and I realized, Peter Jackson used a lot of the Ralph Bakshi
Oh, totally.
images in the films.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
he did. So good. I
but
guys,
how's the family holding up
well, great. I'm
during
actually
Corona?
looking through the window right now. Hi, guys. My
Oh,
wife is in the front yard with my two young daughters, and
good.
first sunny day we've had in a while here in Los
I
Angeles.
know it was raining yesterday. We're in Hollywood, so it's
I'm
like,
in Hollywood, so
oh well, there you go.
it's,
Hollywood Boulevard is basically The Walking Dead right now.
I'm not too far from the In-N-Out Burger on Lancashire.
Oh, well, there you go.
So,
There you go.
so I won't eat there right now. Not that you should be supporting local business, but
Yeah, it's tough. We're surviving. My wife gets really antsy and has to go for like a walk every day, or we'll go for like a hike or something. But they closed all the canyons now too.
be
So
careful.
yeah,
Man, I think everyone needs to stay home right now. Stay home. We walk around the block. I'll put masks on.
yeah, yeah. That's us too. Yeah,
You know, but yeah, stay home, stay safe.
yeah.
Not per se. I'm not saying this to you. I'm saying this to
No, no, no. I agree. We actually went to Oxnard. It was one of the few beaches that were open on Sunday, and it was nice because no one was on the beach. It was just basically us, just
I
a
mean, as long as you
couple
can
other
keep
people.
the distance and all
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was nothing like a couple of weeks ago where it was just like it was like people hadn't even heard about this or anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just want to touch back about you being a great dad. When I was a kid, uh, that was our time. The weekend, my mother worked 3 jobs to put food on the table. And the weekends was our time. The time, I didn't. My brother and I had a very, he's my older brother, so we were like
Yeah.
this unsupervised growing up, and for the most part, so it was the Wild West at home. But then the weekends we would get together and we would see whatever movie was out. And my mother's a huge movie fan, and and she was a Trekkie and all these things. And
Oh wow, no, that's a great mom.
I guess my mom tells a story all the time, and I love the story. But we used to watch the reruns of Star Trek at 6 o'clock. Between her gigs, we would watch Star Trek and eat dinner. And my first sentence I ever put together, true story, "Space: The Final Frontier."
Oh,
So,
that's so
like
funny.
the first words that instead of like "mommy" or yes and no, was "Space: The Final Frontier." So anyway, but she took us to whatever movie was playing, whether it was Blade Runner or Outland, E.T.
That is a great mom.
I mean, and I'm talking from as long as we saw Jaws. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
I saw it in the movies because I was way too young, or maybe I did. I don't know, but I mean, we saw everything. It didn't matter if it was rated R. Obviously, if it had strong sexual content, no. But if violence or whatever, it was. My mom was all about just. She was a young mom, and she wanted to see the movies too.
Yeah, yeah.
Thought that we should see the movies, and I think it made me a better person. And obviously, it's where my love for movies came from my mother. And so I say you're a great dad. The Two Towers,
Yeah. Oh, she saw more. She saw Jurassic Park 3 when she was 5. So, there it is. Yeah. But look, this has been great. I can't believe, wow, we've been talking a while. It just flew. This has been great though, Kevin. I like I said, I really, really enjoy the film. I hope it gets a huge audience on Netflix. It's a good time to stay in and watch it.
Stay in, watch Badland. Check out
That's
Any Bullet Will Do. Check out Big Legend. I hope you like them if you see them. And I just want to thank everybody who's watching, yourself included, everybody who watched the movie. If you want to find me on Instagram, I'm trying to be good about the whole social media thing. It's, I'm an 80s kid, so it's I'm not so great at it, but I take my time. I try to, if I could give back the way I feel, like the way that you feel about movies, right?
Exactly.
If I could be the demystifier, if I could be the link between people and the movies without ruining the experience. You know, I would be that guy. I know how I feel when I meet legends and icons and people that I respect.
Sure,
Because now
sure.
I'm in that business. I mean, I worked opposite Bruce Dern. You know, like and to work with him, it kind of it takes the veil down of the mysticism, but at the same time, it fulfills this craziness inside. And you know,
Oh, it's a great feeling. I worked with Spike Lee for a year, and
wow,
I still talk about it. And that was a little over a decade ago. I did that, and those memories stay with me forever.
so cool. So see, I mean, so that's it. And
Yep.
if I can be that guy for people, if I can be the Bruce Dern for people. Not that I'm trying to say I can be Bruce
Yeah,
Dern.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
You know,
get it.
and
I
like
get it.
if you ask me questions on Instagram, I'll do my best to answer each and every one of them. You know, as long as it takes. And you know, I want to be the conduit to the fans and the people. I just, you know, I think it's important and I love it. I mean, I am a fan at heart before I am anything. So if I reach any level of success, I've been at it too long to not still be the same guy. And I just always want to be that guy for everybody.
I
Uh,
know that's awesome. Well, man, I can't wait to see you in something else, and make that sequel or prequel because I really liked it.
cool, man. Well, cool.
You take
I appreciate
care.
it. You
Stay
too.
safe and healthy.
You too. Thank you.